own natural texture, its own natural colour. I absolutely adore wild salmon. I mean, it's got such a lovely flavour, particularly this time of year, and this sauce is absolutely spot on and perfect to go with it. It's a recipe, actually, I've borrowed from a friend of mine, great friend of mine, a Mr. Rick Stein, and he made this for me some time ago, and I was so excited about it because it's sort of a combination of the sauce hollandaise and a mayonnaise as well. I mean, we all know that hollandaise sauce. We've got the egg yolks, touch of lemon juice here. I'm also now going to add just 2 tablespoons of water, and as you can see, 2 egg yolks in there as well, just half a lemon. The difference here, of course, is instead of clarified butter that we associate with that sauce hollandaise, Rick came up with the idea of just using oils, and this is what works so well, and that's the mayonnaise touch to it. Now, to enrich that flavour, I've got here 50 millilitres of olive oil. It just puts that extra little touch into the finished flavour without becoming too powerful. Here there's just 120 millilitres of the groundnut, which is good because it doesn't overpower the actual fish. Now, as you would do with clarified butter, you do need just to gently warm this. Now, one thing you've got to be very, very careful with making this particular sauce is the oil can become hot very, very quickly. So be very careful with that. You don't want it too hot because whenever that's too hot, of course, we know what happens is it curdles the eggs. You almost scramble them. So it's important that the oil is just warmed. Now, notice here, I'm just whisking over a pan of barely simmering water. And again, that extra point, making sure the bowl is not in contact with the actual water, because if it is, again, you could scramble the eggs. I just want the steam. So that warmth is going to help cook the egg and increase the volume. Now you can see how that changes already. It's going sort of all light and fluffy, all those little bubbles, but you've got to actually take it a step further than that. I want to cook this until it's really creamy, almost like soft whipped cream. And now you can see that's the kind of consistency we're looking for. Let's just have a little look at that. Almost there, you can see, look, it hardly wants to drop off the finger. It's very lemony, absolutely delicious. Right, so let's lift that off. Now, the next thing to do is just to pour very, very slowly. And so as you're adding, it's thickening. If you add it too quickly, it'll still work, but the sauce will be a little bit too thin. And I want it just to be falling over that fish, falling over the salmon, and it's almost like a dip, like a mayonnaise dip. So again, whenever you're entertaining some friends, you've got the sauce that's been pre-made. You only want to make it maybe half an hour before you're going to eat, so it'll still retain this warmth and hold this lovely, lovely soft consistency. I think at the moment that's that little bit just too thick. So again, I'm going to add a touch of water to help maintain its consistency. Let's also put in a touch of salt, and instead of just ordinary pepper, we're going to add a touch of cayenne pepper. So it gives you that little extra bite just happening behind it. Just a little touch. And you can see that cayenne working into it. And it does look good. You can see now we've got it to that whipped cream stage, just softly whipped. Now, you can serve this just as it is. Remember, you've got the lemon, little bite of cayenne coming from behind, and that lovely oily flavour, a touch of olive just happening. But with fish, I love the flavour of tarragon. So I've just got here a few picked leaves, and I'm just going to gently run a knife through them. So now we're going to turn this into sort of a tarragon mayonnaise come hollandaise. And let's just take a look at this consistency. You can see how creamy that is as it just falls in. There. The next thing, of course, is just the wild salmon. Now here, I've got these lovely fillet portions. They're about 175 grams. It's about 6 ounces. We're going to put a little trickle of oil into a frying pan, get that nice and hot. And also then just very, very lightly dip that in flour. Let's just cook a couple of portions off. Now the flour is going to help, of course, create that crackling edge to it, because as that cooks, it becomes quite crispy. It's going to help that and also prevent it from sticking. The next thing is just on the top here, a little touch of salt, but on the fillet itself, we can season it with the salt and the twist of pepper. And now we can start to fry. And you can hear that instantly, can't you? So, again, here's another interesting point. Whenever you're cooking fish like this, what I don't like to do is now to start to shake the pan, start to overwork it. I want to leave the fish alone. Because remember, as you're shaking it, you're taking heat out of the pan. And as soon as you do that, you're almost creating a steaming effect rather than a frying. And it's that fried effect that I want. It's that's going to give me the crisp edge. Leave it for a few minutes. And I would say no more than probably 5, 6, 7 minutes. And let's take a look at the asparagus. Now, here's one that hasn't been cleaned. And you'll notice all I'm actually doing is taking these little points from the side, which tend to have a slight bitterness to them. And I want to get rid of that. Something else, if you feel the end of the spear, it'll tell you where its breaking point is. You can feel it. They're, of course, still too tough. But as you move up, you think, that's it. Now, for each portion, I would suggest something like 6 or 7 spears. I mean, that's going to be really plenty. And then all I'm going to do, the moment that salmon is almost ready, is plunge them into boiling salted water. The salt not only is going to help flavour the asparagus, but at the same time, of course, it's going to help maintain its lovely colour. And that's also why you should always have it really boiling rapidly and never, ever put a lid on top of green vegetables. Let's have a look at the salmons. Look, it's just about half cooked. You can see the difference. You can almost see the colour of the crispiness happening in that skin. Then we've got the pale of the salmon coming to the rich, deep pink. Now, I think it's time to turn that out, turn the fish over, and look at that. We really have got that crackling. And now, of course, you can still hear the heat that's left in that pan. And, in fact, I've turned it out. I'm going to add now just a little knob of butter, literally just that, just to enrich the flesh underneath. While that's continuing to cook, we can now cook our asparagus. Now, let's just cook a portion off, and that is going to take no more than 2 to 3 minutes. And at the same time, that's all that salmon is going to need, that extra 2 or 3 minutes just to finish. And it's looking beautiful. And these are ready. Look at the colour of that asparagus. Just a very little butter on top, because bear in mind, of course, we've got the sauce. We don't need too much. But we can take a nice little bit of seasoning, a touch of salt. Let's also have a twist of pepper. But now we're going to complete the dish just by putting the spears on the plate. And now all I'm going to do is literally just sit crispy salmon on top like that. You've just got the salmon, you've got the asparagus that's just been boiled, brushed with a little butter, and of course here you've got the tarragon hollandaise stroke mayonnaise. Very simple, very, very delicious to eat.